Go on then. I enjoyed that. Let's have part two. Straight down to business. Aha. Depends what you want to call this. When I was growing up, it was a Fairbairn Sykes. Fairbairn Sykes. Although that was always spelt Fairbairn. Now increasingly lately I hear people calling it a Fairbairn Sykes. And all sorts of Fairbairn Sykes, you hear all sorts. I'm going to call it a Fairbairn. That's what most people seem to call it these days. And this is a modern reproduction of a World War II commando knife, British commando knife. As you can see, focus, it's a dagger, designed for quick and silent dispatch of Nazi sentries and that sort of thing, you know. Made by J. Noel and Sons of Sheffield. It's marked with the crow's foot. I don't know if they still issue these or not. Cost about 50 quid, so one of the pricier ones, but just such a classic knife for any collection. Especially when you like your old military stuff, which I do. You've got to have one of these. I thought I'd go for the blackened one, so that when I'm out killing Nazis at night, they don't see it glinting in the moon. A lot of American reviews on YouTube complain about these as not being as useful as a K-bar. Well, they're not as useful as a K-bar because the K-bar was designed as an all-round knife. So it was a fighting knife and it was a utility knife. This is just an assassin's knife. It's not for cutting, it's just for stabbing. I wouldn't like to be on the end of that. Every collection should have one. These little tabs on the sheath so that individual soldiers could stitch it into a jacket or onto a leg, wherever it is they wanted to put it. And I thought at first that this piece of elastic here was just a horrible oversight. When I first got this, I thought, oh, what are they playing at? It's quite a nice sheath, it's a very nice knife. Why have they put this stupid bit of elastic on here? Well, actually, they were elastic. A popper or Velcro or a buckle, they all make noise. So when you're unsheathing it, at least the elastic's silent. Apparently that's as they were. Right, who's next? Another Mora. What do they? I think they call this the Mora Classic. Wooden handle, very straightforward knife, very cheap knife. But again, as always with Mora, exceptional quality for the price. It comes in various versions. There's one without a finger guard. There's one with a finger and thumb guard. I just went for the one with a finger guard. It's a handy little carving knife, actually. I do find it useful for carving wood. It's got a slightly oversized handle. Looks a bit funny in some ways, but it's just purely for practical purposes. You've got really good grip on that. It's got that nice swell in the middle, so all the better for a decent grip. And I think actually that's also what makes it such a good little carving knife. And your thumb naturally sits on top of the blade there, rather than up here. Just the way the knife's made, your thumb naturally sits there, so it really is perfect for that sort of work. I think that was less than a tenner. Less than a tenner. Proper modern classic. Now what? Oh, I've got a bit of string in my hand. Oh, it's my current everyday allotment knife. It's a bushcraft knife made by Koodman. It's a Koodman MT5. I love it. I use it a lot, a hell of a lot. It's always in my bag if I'm at the allotment. The sheath is really nice, well made sheath. And the knife is one lovely big thick piece of steel all the way through, full tang obviously. Lovely, smooth, well finished micarta scales, black liners, 3 bolts through the handle. It's a lovely knife. It's so well made and it's well finished. And I think it was about 75 quid, something like that. I'm confident throwing anything at that knife. It was a good buy, a really good buy, and I get a lot of use out of it. Definitely one of my favourites. I got that from the gun shop in Berkhamsted. What's he called? Ronnie Sunshine's gun shop. He's got a good range of knives in there. And now here I've got another bit of string. Oh, right. Victorinox Farmer Alox. Simple little knife, two layer Swiss Army knife. These Alox ones are well worth having because they're just that little bit more heavy duty than a standard Victorinox. The blade is thicker, longer and deeper. The saw is actually identical to the standard Swiss Army knife saw and just as good. That's not a slate on the saw at all. They're brilliant. The screwdriver and bottle opener is the same as the one on the German Army knife that you saw in the last video. It's a sturdier version of the one you get on the little red-handled Swiss Army knives. And again, it's got a nice half stop. Doesn't lock on this one, but it's got the half stop. Again, bog standard can opener. They don't seem to change on any of the Victorinoxes. They're all the same these days. And this all is lovely. I've only ever seen it on this version of Swiss Army knives. I've never seen it on any others. And it's brilliant. It is really good. It's lovely and sharp. It's got... Am I going to be able to show you that? Not really. But it's actually rounded on the back. Oh, you can slightly see it there, look. There you go. It's rounded on the back. So for example, I've got an old bucket that I want to turn into a plant pot. I'll stick this through and turn it. And rather than cutting a ragged hole, it actually cuts a perfectly clean circle. And depending on how deep you push it, depends on the size of the circle. Really nice awl. I wish you could get those on all the Victorinoxes. Who we got now? Oh, okay. I've already shown you one of these. I won't bother opening this one up. It's another German Army knife. I've got two because they're cheap. There's a lot of them around at the moment. They're really available. And they're just really, really good knives. So I wanted two, just in case. Do use them occasionally. Oh, we've got something tiny here. Tiny little abalone penknife. That's about an inch, not even an inch and a quarter, about an inch and an eighth. Mother of pearl abalone scales. Diddy little bail. It's a nice finish, always catches the light nicely. And I think this is a Richards. Ah, no, it's not. This one's not a Richards. It just says Italy. That's all it says. There you go. I'm not going to sharpen it. It's too small. There'll be nothing left of it. Pretty damn old. Very old. So I'm just going to keep that as it is. Little half stop on it. And still a nice snap shut. So it's hardly been used. I think it's you know, it looks old because it's got a patina. But I don't think it's really been used very much. Can't remember where I got it from. I've got another one quite similar, but a little bit bigger. I really like it. Dinky little cool knife. What else we got? Another really old one. This is a Mikov, made in Czechoslovakia. Now Czechoslovakia started in 1918 until 1990-ish, when the old Soviet Union fell apart. I've seen one of these online and somebody described it as 1960s, but Mikov have been manufacturing knives since 1780 something. The fact that it's got Czechoslovakia on it obviously narrows it down to between 1918 and 1990-ish. It was described as 60s when I saw it, but to be honest, who knows? Who knows? It's not in great condition. It's a really sturdy knife. The scales are made of stag antler. It's a really sturdy knife, but it has been well used, and it's got a lot of play in it. It's got a nice backlock on it. It's got a corkscrew. Sharp little can opener. And a screwdriver bottle opener. Very, very much like a Victorinox. Yeah, it's old. It's not in great condition, but it's in okay condition. And it's something different. Stick that in there with my old ones. I've just noticed actually it's got an aluminium spacer in the back there. I'm not sure why. Maybe just to keep the weight down, although that seems a bit pointless because it weighs a ton anyway. Now, can you tell what that is? It's Ford Peasant. I love these. New Zealand, they're made in New Zealand, but I seem to remember, I think I read that it was a European design originally, going way back. Friction folder. I love friction folders. They're something different. Obviously there's no lock or back spring or anything like that. You can open these one-handed very easily, and by gripping the handle you lock the blade in place, and it is secure, it is firm. I did wonder before I ever tried a friction folder whether they're actually much good in terms of rigidity, but that's fine, it's fine. I'd like to get the wooden handled version as well. This is black, feels like nylon maybe, but there is a wooden handled version which I'd like to get. Very easy to sharpen. It's just about the right thickness, where it's thin enough to be a slicey blade, but it is also thick enough to use, you know, to abuse a little bit without damaging it. It's a nice all-rounder really. And again, it's just something different as a friction folder. I've got one other friction folder which is questionable as to whether or not they're always called a friction folder. I'd question whether or not, strictly speaking, it is. We'll come to that soon. An old German army knife. These were made to a Victorinox pattern by many different manufacturers. I've got two of these. I think this is the one. This is the slightly mankier one. This is a CCM, manufactured by a company called CCM. You can see that the blade is fairly worn, sharpened quite a way down, but still plenty usable. The saw on this one is missing its foil cover. My other one's in much better condition than this, and it's still got its foil cover. And you can see that the little bracket there, the little ledge that you would use with the can opener, has snapped off. That's gone. This end piece here is really useful. It's a flathead and a Phillips. If you hold it edge on, it's a flathead. If you twist it 45 degrees, you use it as a Phillips. And it works surprisingly well. Saw's awesome, as ever with these sorts of knives. The saw's really, really strong. And this is another knife which has a really great awl. Different to the Alox Farmer, but very large. Nice big awl. And being in the T position, you can really graunch it round. Good for drilling holes, not just for poking holes in plant pots and that sort of thing, but good for drilling holes in wood, you know. That's my slightly mankier one. I've got a better one in the bag. What have we got here? Oh, right, yeah, Ganzo. Ganzo Firebird. I've got two of these. This one is the half serrated one. I bought this one first. Spyderco copy. Not too enamoured with China's habit of copying knives, but I bought one of these out of curiosity, and it is actually really decent. It is good. I won't be buying any more. I've had quite enough of Chinese exports recently, to be honest. But I'm glad I've got a couple in the collection. Really surprisingly good quality. I say good quality, actually. They seem good quality. I've never actually used one for an extended period of time, so I don't know what their durability is like. But certainly the build quality and the fit and finish seems not bad at all. Ganzo Firebird. Who's next? Another old Mora. This is a vintage Mora Scout. It's got the Scout embossed on the sheath there. I don't know exactly how old it is. I haven't been able to find out. I've looked. Got nowhere really. Lovely little high quality steel Mora blade. This one's a stainless version. Finger and thumb guards. Blue plastic handle. And what looks like a rat tail tang pinned over at the end. Alternative to a penknife, I suppose. Where are we? 17 minutes. Two more. I said that last time. Let's do two more. Ah, right. This one's this is an Antonini. I bought this because it's Antonini's cheapest knife. I've got an Antonini Old Bear in the bag. That's a lovely knife. Beautiful example of a traditional European knife. This is Antonini's, probably a toolbox knife. I think it was about £3.50. And for a £3.50 knife, the cheapest bottom of the range knife that they make, it says a lot about Antonini. It's not bad. No blade play, no rattle, nice spring, cheapy feeling handle, bit of a flash mark around there where the mould put the two halves together. So, you know, not the greatest, but perfectly usable. I'd be happy to keep that in my toolbox. That's not bad at all. Just bought it out of curiosity, and yeah, it's a lot better having come from Antonini than a £3.50 knife would be from most other places. Last knife. Right. This is my modern reproduction British Army knife. I'm not over the moon with it, really. It's alright, but in dry storage, it's developed a little bit of rust. Doesn't say much about the stainless steel that they've used if it rusts in a drawer. And I don't even use this knife, so it's not got wet at any point. I don't know what's happened there. The blade's okay. Nice and thick. Nice strong spring. Good little pointy tip on the sheep's foot. But when it came, it was blunt as anything. It wasn't unsharpened, as some knives do come. It wasn't completely unsharpened. It was just really badly sharpened. It took a fair bit of work to get it usable. And it doesn't hold its edge for very long. Playing around with this, just trying it out. It's not fared that well, really. The can opener was originally only a can opener. On the older knives, as I explained on the 1954 version of this that I did in the last video, you can fit that on a bottle cap without any modification. These new ones, that's just too narrow in there. I had to file it out and then retouch the edge that cuts through the top of the can. I mean, it's not awful, it's not terrible. I don't like the inscription on it. I'd much rather it said oil the joints. But I wanted this because I wanted an intact example, whereas my old 1954 one, the spring's gone on it. You know, it's nice to have in the collection, being an original issued one with the soldier's number printed on it and all the rest of it. I just wanted an intact version of it, and that's it. That's it. Bit overpriced in my opinion. I can't remember what it was. Getting towards 30 quid, I think. But if it rusts in a dry drawer, that's not worth 30 quid. It's okay. Right, there's going to be one more video then. Let me just have a quick delve and see roughly how many more knives there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's about 15 knives to go, so we'll make that one more video after this. Hope you're enjoying seeing them. I love watching knife collection videos. Yeah, we'll do one more video and then you'll have seen everything I've got. Take care. See you later.